Hello everyone, welcome to Diksha Vedantu Foundation YouTube channel. I am Ankit Srivastava bringing you today midterm score booster series for mathematics, and today's topic of discussion is real numbers. In this chapter, in the session today, we have taken 20 most important questions and we're going to solve all these questions in the class today. And at the end of the session, you'll also have some homework questions for you to practice on your own. These 20 questions are very important because we have taken these 20 questions on the basis of NCERT and the analysis done over PYQs taken from last 10 to 15 years. So take your pen and paper out, stay with me in the entire video and we'll complete this chapter today itself. And by the end of this session, you should be able to solve any question which is coming for grade 10 midterm examination or your annual term examination. So without wasting our time, let's begin the session. So the first thing that comes in this chapter, real numbers, is the fundamental theorem of arithmetic. What is it? The definition is given on the board. You can read from it. I'll try to explain in the simplest word possible. This statement of the theorem of arithmetic is very simple. We have two types of number, composite and prime. It states that every composite number can be expressed as product of prime numbers. Okay, it can be 2 prime number, it can be 3 prime number. Any composite number that we know can be expressed as product or can be factorized at product of prime numbers. Let's take an example and go from there. So you can see here, I'll highlight those words as well. If you are finding difficulty reading it, I hope you don't. So the composite number can be written or factorized as the product of primes. Let's take a composite number. Can you take a simple composite number? Let's take 16. 16 can be written as 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. So 2 times 2 is 4, 4 times 2 is 8, 8 times 2 is 16. So all these numbers that you see here are what? Prime numbers, right? They are 2, no? So 2 is a prime number, smallest prime number actually. Next, we can take what? Take another example, 14. 14 can be written as 2 times 7. 14 is a composite number, 2 and 7 are prime numbers. No? What are the prime numbers? Prime numbers are all those numbers for them exist only 2 factors. What are those 2 factors? The number itself and 1. Whereas composite number will have just opposite, more than 2 factors. So the number 7 or 2 has only 2 factors. First factor is 1, second factor is the number itself, which is 2. In the case of 7, it is 7. Great. So I hope you are clear with the arithmetic theorem. What it states, every composite number is expressed as or can be expressed as product of its prime numbers. Excellent. Let's move on to the next slide. The next slide contains a question which is exactly based upon this definition. So I hope you understood this concept. We'll solve the question on this definition. What does the question states? It states that a number is given to us, 4 times 11 times 5 plus 11. We have to prove that it is a composite number. Let's try to recall the previous theorem. What it states? A composite number can be written in the form of product of its prime. So if somehow I can express this given number in the product of primes, then I can say it is a composite number, right? So it's very clear. Take the number, represent as product of just prime numbers, then it is composite. Okay, let's take it out. So 4 times 11 times 5 plus 11. What do you think over here? 11 is a common number. Let's take 11. Okay, so let's take 11 common. What's left in the first term? Over here, what is left? 4 and 5, right? So I can take 4 and 5 as the left part in the first term. What's left in the second term? Nothing is left because only 11 was there. So I've taken 11 out. It means only 1 is left, right? Then this can be written as 11 times of 20 plus 1, which is nothing but 11 times of 21, nothing but 11 times of 7 times of 3. Now see carefully. The question that we took is now written as 11 times 7 times 3. Is 11 prime? Yes, sir. Is 7 prime? Yes, sir. Is 3 prime? Yes, sir. So the given number is written in the form of product of prime. So we can say what? It is a composite number. Very simple, right? Very simple. Excellent. Let's move on to our next problem. Okay, guys, one announcement here. If you would like to, let's say while doing the classes, no, you might not remember everything at the end of the video. You want to know some things, you want to recall things again. You can go to this link, go to this page, download your PDFs from here for the lecture that has been conducted. So this you can conduct. This lecture will be conducted every day. You can download your class notes from this page. Visit the link given in description. I hope it's clear. Excellent. So don't forget to do that. Make sure that you revise the notes after your class, because what happens, whenever you have, let's say, attended a lecture, any lecture you have attended, and you just leave it like that, then you will not remember. Human mind cannot remember everything that it has learnt or heard, right? So what you can do is, if you on the same day, right after the class, go ahead and read the notes, then you will have better memory or better memory recollections coming from the class. So you have given some time to watch the video. If you don't benefit from it, then what is the point? So make sure that you download the PDFs and do the questions again, because the goal is to score very good marks in our coming midterm examination, right? Let's move on. Okay, now next concept. Everybody heard of it, most of the people know as well, but we'll learn anyway, we'll revise this thing anyway. Someone might find it difficult, so let's come focus here and understand it in the simplest way. I'll take simple examples and understand the concept of prime factorization. Let's understand the concept from the name itself. What it says, it has two words in it, prime and factorization. The first word prime, second word factorization. Everyone knows what is prime. Prime represents prime numbers. So any number which is prime, that's prime number. The name is prime factorization. It means we are trying to write any given number in its factors. Now what type of factors? Factor should be only prime. So basically this statement means writing the factors of a number in terms of only prime. Okay, let's take an example. 196. Simple, small number. How would you factorize it? Sir, you have learnt all this approach. What do you think? What first number I can take? 2 I can take, right? It's an even number, I can take 2. Let's take 2. Why 2? Because 2 is also prime. So we can take even number and it's a prime number. So 2 9s are 18 if I am considering only 19 at the first time. So 2 9s are 18. What is left here? If it is 19, 18 we have considered. It means 1 is hidden somewhere here, right? Now 1 and 6 will become 16. So 2 8s are 16. First part is done. Again it's an even number. I can take 2 again. 2 is a prime number. Let's take 2 again. So 49. Now can I take 2 sir again? No, it's not even number, right? Anymore it's not even number. Now what can we do? Let's check with 3. 9 plus 4 is 13. We all know the divisibility, right? We all know the divisibility. So 9 plus 4 is 13. Not divisible by 3 sir. What else we can take? Everybody knows. 7 we can take here directly, because 7 7s are 49. 7 7s are 49. So basically I can write this number 196 as 2 times 2 times 7 times 7. So now we have the prime factors of the number 196. So this is called the prime factorization of 196. There is one more way to write this, simplify this. How can we do that? We have learnt indices, right? So 2 into 2 can be written as 2 squared. 2 into 2 can be written as 2 squared. And 7 into 7 can be written as 7 squared times 7 squared. First number is done. I hope this is clear. We'll take one more example. One more example we'll take and we'll understand this as well. Okay? Let's take a bigger number, but simpler. Bigger, still simpler, so that everybody could understand. 1024. You people seen this number? Of course you have seen, no? This was there a game. There was a game, right? 1024. We were supposed to make the squares, arrange it in such a way that we get the sum equal to 1024, right? It's a puzzle game, I think I remember. All right. So let's continue with our question. What we're gonna do? 4 is there, even number, simplest. 2 is a prime. It means it will apply. Apply 2 here. We get first 10 will take 5 times 1 time is 2 and 4 is there, so 12. Continue. Even is there. 2, 1 is remainder. 11. 11 means I can take 5 and 6. Again continue with 2. So we'll have 1, 2, 8. Continue. Please. 64. Please continue from here as well. 2 times of 32. 2 times of 16. 2 times of 8. 2 times of 4. 2 times of 2. Check it out. If you want to recollect, make sure that it is right. 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. 8 times 2 is 16. 16 times 2 is 32. 32 times 2 is 64. Times 2 is 128. Times 2 is 256. Times 2 is 512. Times 2 is 1024. Big number but simple number. All even. Only one prime number is being here considered as 2. How can they write 1024 as? So I can write 1024 as 2 into 2 into 2 like that, counting the number of times, or I can write in the simplified format like this, right? So count the number of 2's. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I'll write it as 2 power 10. Understood? So I can have a number given which will have only one prime. I can have a number given which can have more than one prime also. Like in this situation, 2 and 7 are two different prime numbers, whereas 2 is only one prime number in the case of 1024. I hope this is clear. Okay, I'll move on to the next slide. Great. Now we're going to use this in the coming questions. So now this is interesting. What is this? This technique, this definition is used to solve two type of questions. Okay, and actually they are very relevant. They are asked in CBSE, so they're asked, but they're also asked in some competitive examination. So actually you will see the MCQs directly based upon this definition. So nothing else will come. From this definition you can solve the MCQ. No steps required. Think, use your brain, use the prime factorization, and you are gonna get the answer directly. Okay, what is it? Let x equals to p by q. So x is any number which is equal to p by q. What it means? It's a rational number. P by q means it is a rational number. We have learned, right? Now they're saying p and q are very important co-prime. What is co-prime, bhai? What is co-prime? Co-prime are those set of numbers which will have only one factor in common, which is 1. Can we take some examples, sir? Yes, we can take. Let's take 16 and 25. 16 and 25. What is common between 16 and 25? So 16 is 4 times 4. 25 is 5 times 5. Neither 4 is common nor 5 is common. What is common? 1. 1 is the only factor between 16 and 25. So for those numbers, what we call those numbers? Co-primes. Okay. So this is a rational decimal given. So for those type of fractions, they will terminate into decimals, or they will be terminating decimal only if the denominator q is of the format of 2 times 5 times like that. 2 times 5 times 2 times 5 times like that. So how can we say that q is in the format of 2 times 5? We learned right now. Prime factorization we'll use, na? We'll use prime factorization to determine whether q is in the format of 2 times 5 or not. Okay, that's one type of question. What is the first kind? If the fraction is given where the fractions are of co-prime nature, then we can look at the denominator, try to do the prime factorization method, get their expansion, and if it is of the form 2 times 5, then we'll call that number will be of terminating kind. Okay, so they can directly ask you which of the following given fractions are or can be terminating decimals. So from there, how will you know? By looking at the denominator. I have taken an example, we'll do it, but before that, this is another type of questions. What type of question is that? They will give you a whole number, a natural number. They'll give you that and they'll say, tell me why or whether this will end with 0 or no, 0 or 5 or not. So we can take some numbers which are ending with 0 and 5 and will justify that actually in their expansion 2 and 5 exist. Shall we take one more example? We'll take and we'll say that yes, since in the expansion after prime factorization 2 and 5 exist, that's why they are ending with 0 or 5. Let's take. So let's take in one example. Simplest one will take 125. Okay, how will we write 125? We'll write it as 5 into 5 into 5. 5 5s are 25. 25 times the 5 is 125. If you want to take another example, take another example. 375. What will be here? 5 into 5 into 5 into 3. Now you'll say, sir, this you just multiplied 125 by 3. Yes, I wanted to show that. So both the numbers are ending with 5. It means their unit digit is 5. For that to happen, 5 must be present in the number. It's obvious, right? It's obvious. Okay. Next, for the number to end with 0, let's take a number 0. How can we write this? 128 times 10. Remember 128? We just did here. 128 was where? Here. How many times? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 times. Right? 7 times. Correct. So, I can write 128 as 2 power 7. 2 power 7. And this 10 as 2 into 5. So what I'm getting here is 2 power 8 times 5. 2 power 8 times 5. So if you recall the concept, I am getting in this format only, no? 2 power m times 5 power n. So in this number, my m is 8 and n is 1. Okay, so we have both kind. Decimal kind we'll see right now. Let's take this example. 12 by 30. How can we write this 12 by 30? Simplify it. 3 times 4. And 30 is 3 times 10. Okay, cancel 3's. What is left? 4 by 10. I can simplify it further, but I want to show in the form of 2 by 5. Okay, so I can write this 10 as, this 10 is nothing but q, right? I can write this 10 as 2 times 5. And we all know the decimal expansion of this is 0.4. It is terminating, no? Okay, if you want, I can simplify this. I can simplify this as 2 by 5. And what's the answer still? 0.4. Then you will say, sir, there is no 2 here, no? You wrote this 10 as 2 into 5. I understand. It will be terminating in kind. But there is no 2 here in the denominator. Then how it is terminating? There is a 2. Check it out. I can write this 5. I can write this 5 as 5 equal to 5 power 1 times 2 power 0. 5 power 1 times 2 power 0. Then sir, why 0? Read. Non-negative integers. M and n should be just non-negative. 0 is okay. I can write in the form of 0 also, not a problem. But it should not be a negative number. So non-negative integer is the definition of m and n. I hope this clears it up. So I can simplify this as 2 by 5, still write 0.4. The concept validates, or write it as 4 by 10, still get my answer as 0.4. This is the exact definition based approach. I hope you get it, right? Let's continue. Next question. So this question is based upon the same concept. Okay, quickly read the question. 12 power n cannot end with digit 0 or 5. When can a number not end with 0 and 5? When it doesn't have 0 and 5 in it. Sorry, when it doesn't have 2 and 5 in it. Where? In the prime factorization. Let's check the number. Arey bhai, to end this question in 0 and 5, the number should have 2 and 5 in the prime factorization. No, we just discussed. So 12 power n can be written as 2 power 3 power n, nothing but 2 square, pardon me, 2 square times 3n, nothing but 2 power 2n into 3n. How? Power rule is there in indices. Power to power gets multiplied. Confused? A power m to the power n becomes a power m times n. Same way I have taken this n inside. Okay, bacha? Okay, there's a mistake. Let me correct it. This n will be outside the bracket, na? This n will be outside the bracket. Okay, so that's why I have taken n inside. Done. In the prime factorization, does it have 5 in it? No 5. 5 is not there. Then how can it end with 0 or 5? Right? Because for it to end with 0, only 2 into 5 will make 10, no? A number 10 must be there, no? For it to be 0, for any number to end with 0, at least it should have 110. It can have 100 also. It can have 1000 also in it. But it should have at least 10. How will there be 10 if there is no 5? So obviously this question, this number 12 power n cannot end with 0 or 5. Clear? Let's proceed. Now the main concept of this chapter, real number, comes. So we will have multiple questions coming on these concepts. So please try to pay attention what I'm going to explain right now. So we learn these two definitions. Apart from these two definitions, we learn one more definition which will help us solve various kind of questions. Extremely different type of questions can be solved using the other definition that I'm going to give right now. So please pay attention. Let's start with HCF. So HCF, the largest integer that 2 or more numbers can be divided by. It means if I have to find HCF of 2 numbers, okay, let's take 16 and 28. Right expansion of 16? 4 times 4. For 28, 4 times 7. So in the numbers which is given, I think it's little smaller, so let me write it a little big. So I can write 28 as 4 times 7, 16 as 4 times 4. So what do you think is the highest or the largest number which is common factor of both of them? The largest number which is common factor of both of them? 4, right? Some people can say, sir, I can write 28 as 14 into 2. 14 is the largest factor of 28, or 28 into 1. You can say, na, 28 can be written as, sir, 28 into 1 or 14 into 2. Then why are you not considering that? I can consider. For 16, what I can write? 16 into 1 or 8 into 2. Are they the common factors? Is 14 or 28 or 16 and 8 are common? They are not. So which is the largest factor that is common? That is our HCF. So what is the HCF of 16 and 28? Very important. 4. What is the HCF of 16 and 4? Okay. Check this out. 4 is our answer. Let's continue. Okay. What about LCM? LCM, simplest, you have all learned, na? We'll try to simplify in the same way that you have all learned. What is it? Write, sir, any number given, write their table. Whichever is the first common multiple, that's the lowest common multiple. LCM. LCM is lowest common multiple. So if I have 2 numbers, I'll take 2 numbers. Okay. Let's take 6. Okay. And let's take 9. Let's take 6 and 9. What is LCM of 6 and 9, sir? What we do? Write the table of 6. 6 1s are 6, 6 2s are 12, 6 3s are 18, 6 4s are 24, and so on. For 9, 9 1s are 9, 9 2s are 18. Oh wait, done. First multiple which is common between the 2 numbers is 18. So what is the lowest common multiple in 9 of 6 and 9? So the LCM of number 6 and 9 is nothing but 18. Easy. All right. Now one more definition, as I said, will be here. Okay. So before starting this part, let me write the definition. Okay. So what is the definition? Whenever we are finding HCF, okay, of two numbers, HCF of two numbers, we will write what? Prime factorization number. So right now, for now, you'll just remember this thing. For finding HCF of any two numbers, what you do is write their prime factorization. For LCM also, do the prime factorization. And from here, we can solve question based upon your variables kind or the numbers kind. How? What we do is we compare the exponents. We compare the exponents. We did na in simplified format. 2 to the power 3 we wrote, 2 power 8 we wrote, 7 we wrote. So we can compare the exponent and get our result. Okay. Shall we take one example? So we'll take an example. Okay. So let's do it. Let's take a example, not this question, another example we are taking to find HCF and LCM using exponent of the prime factors. Okay, let's take an example, 32 and 64. Can you write prime factors of 32 and 64? Yes, we can. 32 is 2 into 2 into 2 into 2 into 2, 5 times. This is 2 power 5. For 64, one more 2, so 2 power 6. 2 power 6. So whenever we are writing HCF na, what we do is take all the common factors. What we do is take all the common factors. Take all the common factors with least power. So what I've written here is, that's a plus sign, okay? So with least power, let's apply. So HCF of these two numbers, common factor is what? Only one common factor is there, 2. What's the least power? What's the least power of 2? 5? No, 1. 1 is there, no. So what is the HCF? 2 power 1. 2 power 1 will divide both the numbers. HCF is 2. Is it true? So least power is 2 power 1, 1, 1, 1. So you'll divide 2. Is it okay? Is it right? No. Then in that case we can say 4 also is there. 4 will divide both the numbers. 4 is also common factor. But we want which common factor? HCF. So 2 power what will take? 2 power what will take? 2 power, the least power is 5. Will not take the individual numbers. Will take the numbers to the whole power. So 5 was there, right? Out of 5 and 6, which is the least? 5. So what is my answer? 2 power 5, which is 32. So I can divide the two numbers with 32, no? And that is the largest number. Can I take any bigger number which will divide both 32 and 64? If you take a number more than 32, how can you divide 32? Right? So HCF is 32. What about LCM, sir? What about LCM? So for LCM, no, we'll take not only common factors, we'll take all the factors. We'll take, for LCM, I'll write here, all the factors taken once and what? Plus highest power or maximum power. So whichever is the highest power, that we will consider. Okay. So let me see here. What is the highest power here? The factor is 2, highest power is 6. So what is my answer? 64. So 64 is my LCM. If you use the definition approach, in the table of 32, 64 will come twice. In table of 64, 64 will come at once. Okay, so 64 times 1 is 64, 32 times 2 is 64. So 64 is your LCM. Okay, understood? Please take a screenshot of this and then I'll continue with our current slide, which is HCF and LCM of two distinct prime numbers A and B. Okay, so I will erase this part and I'll continue on this side. Okay, so please make sure you have taken the screenshot. Alright, so it says, now coming back to the question, HCF and LCM of two distinct prime numbers. Take by two distinct prime numbers. Can I take two distinct prime numbers? I can take, sir, 2 and 3. How will I write 2, sir? 2 will be written as 2 times 1. 3 will be written as 3 times 1. What is the common factor? Highest. Sir, 1. So HCF is 1. What about LCM, sir? All factors taken once with their respective highest power. So 1, 2, 3. What's the power of 1? 1 only. What's the power of 2? 1 only. What's the power of 3? 1 only. So the power is 1 all the place. So I can take this as 1 times 2 times 3, which is 6. So LCM is 6. So what is the important point here? For any two distinct prime numbers, HCF is always 1. Always 1. Okay, 19 and 17 prime numbers, no? What is HCF? 1. What is HCF? 1. And what is LCM? Product of the numbers. Product of the numbers. So that's why we have taken 2 into 3. Alright? Great. Let's move on to the, so this is remember for A and B, what is HCF? HCF is 1. And what is LCM? LCM is A times B. Basically AB. Fair enough? Let's move on. Find the LCM and HCF of 52 and 39. We'll use the prime factorization. Let's kick this question out. Quickly we'll do, without taking any time. Okay, 52, sir. 2 into 13. How? 26 times 2 is 52, right? 39. How will I do? 3 times 13. LCM, HCF. What is HCF? What is HCF here? Common factor highest, which is 13, 13. What is HCF? What is LCM? We have to take all the factors together, right? So we have to take all the factors. 2 power 2 we have to take. 3 we have to take also once. And you have to take 13 also. What is there? What's the number? This will be 4 times 13. So 4 times 3 will be 12 and times 13. What is this number? Check it out. It should be 156. Correct? So the LCM is 156, HCF is 13. Easy question. Let's move on. Okay. For any two positive integers A and B, okay, HCF of the two numbers and LCM of the two numbers, if the product are taken for them, it's equal to product of two numbers. No? Let's check the previous question only. We'll apply this. What it says? Let's apply this. If you multiply HCF and LCM of any two number, that is always equal to product of the two numbers. That is always equal to product of the two numbers. Let's check. This question only will take. What is the LCM here? 156. What's the HCF here? 13. Multiply LCM and HCF. How much is it? 156 times 13. Okay. What is the multiplication of this? Do it quickly. 156 times 13. What will do? 6 3s are 18. 5 3s are 15. 1. 16. 3 1s are 3. Right? 6 5 1. Sum is 8 2 3. Pardon? Okay. Yes. So 53819 and 1928 is our product here. 1928. Okay. Now product of numbers will be 52 times 39. If you do this multiplication, you'll again get same thing. How can I do this multiplication? Can we do this like this? 52 times 40 minus 39 minus 52. I mean, I can do that, right? So what is it going to be? 0, 5 4 4 2s are 8, 5 4s are 20, and minus what? 52. Do it. What are we gonna get? 8, 7 minus 5 is 2, 9, 1. What's the answer? 1928. Means even if we multiply the number only, the two given numbers, or HCF LCM, we are reaching the same answer. Anyone has doubt how I did this? Look, we are multiplying 52 and 39, right? So I took one multiple ahead. 40th I took. So 52 times 40 I multiplied, and I subtracted 52 from there. Easy multiplication, that's why I took. No big deal. Okay? Chaliye. So this is the definition. Question is given on the definition. Let's take this question. Very simple. What's the question saying? Question is given as the ratio of two numbers. So we don't know the number here, but we know the ratio. The ratio of the two numbers is 3 and 4. Means A, if first number is A, second number is B, then A by B is 3 by 4. And their HCF is 4. HCF is 4. Why? Find their LCM. Okay, so we know that whenever ratio is given, we can take a factor or multiple as x, right? So we can write let the number be 3x and 4x. We have done this so many times, right? In lines and angles we have done. Angles ratio was given. Remember? Triangles used to solve. The three angles are 2x, 3x, 4x. Takes sum and equal to 180 degree, right? Same thing. Same we have done. The ratio as 3x, 4x. What is given? HCF is 4. Now we know the number, right? We know the number is 3x and 4x. So once we know the number 3x and 4x, can we find HCF? We can find, sir. 3x is 3 into x. 4x is 4 into x. What is the HCF, sir? HCF is just x actually, right? Just x. HCF is just x. Now if that is the case, HCF is already given 4. Put it equal to 4. Now x is known to us because we found HCF to be x by looking at their prime factors. Check here. By looking at their prime factors, we found HCF to be x. But x is given as 4. HCF is given as 4. It means HCF is known. So my numbers are 3x equals to 3 times 4, which is 12. And second number 4x is equal to 4 times 4, which is 16. What are they asking? Find their LCM. Kar lenge? Can we do it? Product of the number. What is the product of the number? 12 times 16 equal to HCF is 4 times LCM. Keep LCM on this side, bring 4 on the other side. What do we get? LCM equals to 12 times 16 by 4. By 4, right? It's in product here. If I move it on the other side, it will become what? Division. Multiplication becomes division. Addition becomes subtraction. That's the rule of linear equations, right? Transposing the sign on the other side. Great. So multiply this 16 and 4 we can cancel. 4 times 12 4s are 48. LCM is 48. This is my LCM. Easy? Easy? Great. What we did? We took the numbers based upon the ratio 3x, 4x. From there we found the prime factorization for 3x and 4x by 3 into x, 4 into x. Found the HCF given as 4, compared them, got x as 4, got the numbers, used the formula HCF into LCM equals to product of numbers, got LCM as 48. I hope it's clear, right? Excellent. Next question. Same thing, very simple. I'll not take that much of time to solve this question. In this question, what they've done? 3 question is given, 3 numbers are given, 48, 72 and 80. Let's do it. Quickly we'll do. 48 का prime factorization will do. How will we do this? 2 times of 24, 2 times of 12, 2 times of 6, 2 times of 3. Next, what we can do is 72. Let's do 72 also. 2 times of 36, 2 times of 18, 2 times of 9. Last part, 3 times of 3. For 80, can we do it? 2 times of 40, 2 times of 20, 2 times of 10, 2 times of 5. Write their respective prime factorization form. 48 is written as, color change करता है. Let's change the color. Too much ink on this page. 48 is written as 2 times, how many times are there? 2. 1, 2, 3, 4. So 2 power 4 into 3. What about 72? 2 power how many times? 3 times. 3 power 2. What about the last one? 80. 2 power how many times? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 times 5. Now we will use that approach. Keep power of the indices. Okay? Chaliye. Let's begin. First we'll do LCM only. No problem. Okay? What is LCM? Take all the factors. Not common only. All the factors with the highest power. कर लेंगे? But we have to take the power only once. Oh sorry, take all the factors only once. So what are the factors here? 2 is there, 3 is there, 2 is there, 3 is there and 2 is there and 5 is there. How many times will take 2? 3 times? No, we'll take 2 only, 1 time, 3 also, only 1 time and 5 also, only 1 time. Now what? Highest power of 2. Here 4, 3, 4 means highest is 4. For 3, 3 power here is 1, 2 and nothing means 2 is the highest. Or for 5, nothing is there, only 1 is there. So 1 is the highest. Multiply. What we gonna get from here? 2 power 4 will be 16 and 3 power 2 will be 9 into 5. Multiply 16 into 5. How much is that? 80. 16 into 5 is 80. So 80 times 9 will be 720. My LCM is 720. What about HCF? Turant. Let's do it quickly. No worries at all. Okay. What is HCF? Only common factors with least power. Only common factor with least power. Common factor is what? Only 2. 3 is not common between all the numbers. 3 is present in these 2, but last one it's missing. Right? 3 is present in these 2, but last one it's missing. 5 is present there, but in these 2 it's missing. So 3 and 5 are gone. 3 and 5 are gone. Only 2 is there. Least power of 2 is what? Sorry, 1. 2 power 1. No. Least power across the given numbers. So 2 power 4 we have. 2 power 3 we have. 2 power 4 we have. Least power is 3. So 2 power 3 is 8. My HCF is 8. Question done. Next one will go. Okay. We'll go to the next one. Take now. 8 times 6 is 48. 8 times 9 is 72. 8 times 10 is 80. Okay. Next. Okay. This question is trying to scare us. This question has been taken from your NCERT exemplar. Okay. If you are practicing more questions, please follow exemplars. But one more thing, few questions are out of syllabus in exemplars. So make sure that you stick to your portions for NCERT. Alright? Chaliye. So this question, if we divide into, it has 2 parts in it. One part is HCF of 117. HCF of 117. Next part is in the form of 65m minus 117. Now the second part might confuse us, but first part is too easy, na? Forget about second part. First part is what? HCF. Let's find HCF. Okay. So if we find HCF, how will we do that? Factors will write, na sir. So 65 will be written as 13 into 5. Sir, how did you do it? We know the table of 13, right? 13 5 is 65. Okay, why to do the prime factorization of this? Simple, one step. 117. So this is big, this is difficult. How will I know what is 117's factor? Okay, I don't know. 65, okay, I'll understand, I know. How will I know 117? I think HCF exists. It means something will be common. Do you actually see here 5 can be 5 a common factor? No sir, 5 cannot be a common factor because it is not ending with 5. We just learned. So 13 must be the common factor. So it means 13 multiple something will be 117. 13 times 10 is 130. It cannot be more than 10 times. So less. 3 times 9 is 27. It means simple as such 13 into 9 is the factorization. Prime form, write 3 into 3. No problem. Okay. Great. So what is my HCF? HCF is the number 13. Now read the second part. It says the HCF whatever you get. So I can replace this entire number as 13. Now read. 13 is expressed or expressible in the form of 65117. It means we are saying that we can write 13 like this. It means they are equal to each other. So 13 can be written as 65m minus 117. All the constants on one side, variables on one side, solve the linear equation, done. I have to do it? Chaliye, let's solve the question anyway. So 13 plus 117 equals to 65m. This is going to be 130 upon 65 equals to m. Answer is 2. Done. Move to the next sum. Okay, they were asking value of m only na. M is 2. Done. Ho gaya? Easy. Let's done. Move. Okay. LCM of two numbers is 48. Then which of the following numbers cannot be their HCF? Very small concept. Smallest of small concept, but important. Okay. This again is like the concept of the form of 2 into 5. Small concept, but it's used in competitive examination and your boards as well to directly get the answer in MCQs. Okay. What it's saying? LCM of two number is 48. Okay. Then which of them cannot be? Very important. Cannot be their HCF. Now you will say, sir, we don't know the numbers. How will you find HCF? We know the formula that you said. A into B equals to HCF of A into LCM of AB. LCF of AB into LCM of AB. But here A and B, the numbers are not given. How will we find it? Let's see. Okay. Let's take a question that we have done. Okay. We'll take the same example. Take this number 720. What is 720? LCM. What is HCF? 8. What is HCF? 8. Can you see one thing, bacha? That 8 is also a factor of 720. If I multiply 8 with 90, how much I will get? I will get 8 9s are 72, 720. It means whatever is our HCF, that will always be a factor of LCM. For any set of given numbers, HCF is always a factor of LCM. Watching this video, repeat after me. For any given set of numbers, HCF is always a factor of LCM. Excellent. Let's erase this part. Okay, so they will not confuse while doing the solution or coming back to the slide. Okay, let's go back to our original slide here. So it means for whatever number the LCM we have 48. Okay, this number has to be a factor. Is 3 a factor of 48? Yes sir. 3 times 16 is 48. 16 is a factor, sir. Yes, 16 times 3 is 48. 24 times 2 is also a factor. What about 15? Big no. 15 times nothing we can do as whole numbers to get it 48. Can you multiply any whole number with 15 to get 48? No, right? So 15 is our answer. cannot be the HCF. Same thing, make a note of this. Same thing I've been repeating. HCF is always a factor of LCM. Okay, now the concept that we learned, HCF में all common factors least power, LCM में all factors taken once maximum power will be used here. So they have given what? Two positive integers A and B, but they are not actually numbers. They are in a variable format, sir. They're in a variable format. So I can write this A as x into x into, okay, this into might confuse you with x, right? So let me write in brackets, so will be easier for you. Okay, so I can write this as x times x and y times y. I'll not do this for B, just to explain this. It means x is coming 3 times, y is coming 2 times. For B, I will not do the expansion, no need, just wanted to explain you. xy cube, this is x cube y square. Okay, xy are prime numbers, very important. Xy must be prime numbers. Without xy being prime numbers, we cannot justify our answer. Xy has to be prime number only. You have to find HCF and LCM. चलिए करते हैं, let's do it. LCM, what have we learnt? All the factors taken once highest power. All the factors are what, sir? Only x and y is there. Highest power of x is what, sir? Here we have 3. Write this as 3. Highest power of y, 3 only, sir. So 3. What is LCM? X cube, y cube. What about HCF? We have learned, no? Common factors only with least power. Common factors are, sir, again xy only. Least power of x. Least power of x is 1, sir, here. So I will take 1. Least power of y, excuse me, y square. So my answer is xy square. Why least power? Check now here. It's 2 and it's 3. Least is what? 2. So xy square is our answer. Great. Question is done. LCM and HCF of A and B is written here. Make a note of it. Come on. Okay. If 7 is the least factor of P and 11 is the least factor of Q. Now this question doesn't require steps to solve, but it requires your focus, your attention and your little bit of brain. Okay, let's do it. So 2 steps are given in this. The 2 information is given in this question. 7 is least prime factor of P. Let's understand what is least prime factor. So we know what is prime factor, no? Any number can be written in the form of prime factor multiplications. Least prime factor means what? I can take a number 98. What's the least prime factor of 98? 2 into 49. So 2 into 7 into 7. Is 7 the least factor? All of them are prime only. What least is? 2. Take 49. Just 49. What's the least? 7 into 7. So the least prime factor is just 7. Right? So least prime factor of P. So there's number P. For this number P, my least prime factor is 7. Same way for the number Q, least prime factor is 11. Right? Now the concept part. Think. For any even number, even numbers are ending with 24068, right? 24660, 24680, right? All these numbers, if it is ending with its prime, it's an even number. So for any even number, what is the least prime factor? Any number you take, 128, 64, all these numbers are divided with 2. It means 2 will be the one of the factor. And is 2 prime? Yes, 2 is a prime number. If 2 is a prime number, it is a factor and it is also a prime number and it is the smallest prime number anyway. So it means for any even number, for all even numbers, least prime factor would be 2 only. And for odd, we can't say. Let's say we took 49. What was it? 7. I can take 81. What is this? What is, if I take 81? What is it? It's 3. 3 into 3 into 3 into 3. Right? 3 power 4 is 81. 3 into 3 is 9, into 3 is 27. So I can write this as 3 power 4. Na? So least prime factor of 81 is 3. So for the odd number we can't say that which is the fixed least prime factor. But for even we can say always 2. So from that concept, let's come back. For a number p, 7 is least prime factor. 7 is least prime factor. So it means p is odd. Sir, how? Because least prime factor, for this to be even, p to be even, this would have been 2, right? But 2 is not there, no? So 7 means odd. Same way, 11, right? So odd. Means both p and q are odd numbers. So p plus q would be even. For sum of any two odd number, we get even number. Take, here only you take 49 plus 81. 49 plus 81. 9 plus 1, 10. 8 plus 4, 12. 130 is the answer. Even or odd? Even. So for sum of any two odd number, it's always even. If it is even, then what is the least prime factor? 2, sir. Least prime factor is 2. Now read the question. Find the least prime factor of p plus q. P plus q prime factor is 2. Answer is 2. Simple question or not? Do we require more steps? No. This can be asked in MCQs. Good concept. So little bit ahead, little bit over the NCERT part. We should learn, na? We'll go little bit ahead so that we can challenge ourselves, and if a questions like this can come in our school, we can solve it, right? Excellent. Next question. Find the largest number. Now this kind of question is repeated all the time. Everybody will agree with me. So all the time you'll find this kind of question. Largest number which divides the two numbers, smallest number which divides the two number, what should be added to the number is divisible, what should be added to the number is LCM. This kind of question keeps coming. Let's go back to this question. Largest number which divides 70 and 125. But is it divisible? No. The remainder is there, 5 and 8. Sir, it's again complicated only. Let's break out. Let's break the question. What's the number given? 70 and 125. Okay. Now we are dividing with a same number. Let's take that number to be x. Sir, are we going to use a variable in this? Of course not. Just for assumption, just for problem statement, we are using x. So let's say we are dividing. What is the question saying? Divide that. Let's say the x is that largest number. When dividing 70, what is my remainder? The remainder is 5. The remainder equal to 5. And dividing 125, the remainder is equal to 8. The remainder is equal to 8. So right now, as of now, from the question statement, x, like 70 is not divisible by x. 125 is not divisible by x. But if I make some change, what change? Check here. If I write this as change, first change we're going to do is change the ink color. Okay. Chaliye. So 70 minus 5. Very bad joke. Alright, I will learn to joke. Okay. 70 minus 5 will become 65. What about this number 125? Minus 5 we will do? No. We'll do the remainder we were getting, right? So minus 8. Sir, why are you taking the remainder that we were getting? So that if the remainder is taken out, then the number is divisible, no? If I, let's say, divide 2 and 9, what is my remainder? 1, because 2 4s are 8. Remainder is 1. Now if I take 1 out from 9, what is the answer? 8. Now 8 becomes divisible. So now 8 becomes divisible. Okay. Yes, let me erase this part, not required, just to explain you. Same way, if we have divided, subtracted 5 and 8 from the numbers, we are getting 65 and 117. So it means what? It means what, sir? That the number 65 and 117 must be divisible by x now. And x is what? Largest number that divides both 65 and 117. What is it called? Array, highest common factor, right? HCF of 65, 117. We did right now. It was 13. Let's go back and see. 65 and 117. What was the HCF? 13. Right? Need to do it again? No need, right? How we got the HCF? That part is clear to everyone. So the HCF of the number 65 and 117 is 13. They're asking what? The largest number that divides. That's your answer. Chaliye. Next, find the smallest number which when increased by 20 becomes divisible. Means there is a number. There is a number. What number? Again, we will not use the variable to solve. Just to understand the problem statement. So the smallest number, let that be x. Let that be x. So there is some number which is the smallest. Okay. When increased by 20. When increased by 20 means very simple. Add 20. Now what is the new number? X plus 20. Okay. Is the new number smallest number? No. The smallest number is x only. The new number is what? Increased by 20. New number is not x. X is the smallest number only. Different answer. Okay. Different word. You'll get different answer for both the numbers. Smallest number will be different and increased number will be different. So x plus 20 is my number right now. This is exactly divisible by 90 and 144. Now think, if 90 and 144 can divide both this number, means 90 can divide x plus 20 and 144 can divide x plus 20. Will the x plus 20 be less than 144 or greater than 144? So I am asking you, will the number x plus 20 be greater than or less than what? Think, it will always be greater than 144 and 90, or it can be equal to also. That's the LCM, no? LCM of any given number will always be greater or equal to the number, right? But HCF, ulta, just opposite, will always be equal to or less than the given number. We have seen so many times. Let's check. What was HCF? 13. 13 is always smaller than 65 and 117. If you take LCM, go back, check. No need, no hurry. What is LCM, sir? LCM we have not taken here. Some other question we'll take. What is LCM, sir? LCM is 720. Is it greater than 48, 72 and 80? Yes. So LCM is always greater than the numbers. It may be equal to also, but it will be greater than. Always greater than, equal to. But for HCF, less than or equal to. 8 is less than 48, less than 72, less than 80. Okay. I'll repeat again. HCF is always less than or equal to given numbers. LCM is always greater than or equal to the given numbers. Okay. So we were here. It means x plus 20 is always greater than 144 or 90. For it to divide, it means you have to find what? LCM, no? To find LCM of 144 and 90, 144 will be written as, everybody knows this is square of 12. So can I do a shortcut? 12 times 12 can be written as 3 times 4 times 3 times 4 can be written as 3 times 3 and 4 square. 4 square is 16, which is nothing but 3 times 3 to power 4. Prime factors I have written, okay? I think last part is not visible. So I can write this as 3 times 3, and instead of 4 I can write it as 2 power 4. 2 power 4 is 16, 4 power 2 is 16. Just prime factors I'm taking. Next number is 90. Take 90. Simple. 9 into 10 will take. 9 is 3 square. 10 is 2 into 5. What do you want to find out? LCM. Why LCM? The number has to be bigger. That's why LCM. LCM, how will we do? All the factor taken once with highest power. All the factor taken once. What are the factors? 3 is there, 2 is there, 5 is there. Okay? 3 is there, 3, 2 and 5. Highest power of 3. Check here. 2 times, 2 times. Here 2, here also 2 times. It means highest power is 2. For 2, what is highest power? 4. For 5, only 1 is there. Multiply it. 3 power 2 is 9. 2 power 4 is 16 into 5. Okay. 16 times 5 is how much? We just did right now. 9 into 80. Answer is 720. Now is 720 the answer that they are asking? No. 720 is this number. What are they asking? 720 is our increased number. No. 720 is our increased number. This one. But they are asking not 720. The smallest number when increased by 20. So they are asking x. So if x plus 720 is, pardon, please forgive me, x plus 20 is 720, x is 700. Answer is 700. Easy? Understood? Everyone? Great. Okay, now comes the scarier part for few people. What they do is look at the question, what problem, leave it. Will not do that. Okay, we'll try to what we try to do in word problems, we'll try to break the word problems into simpler steps or like simpler statements. Okay, and then we'll get data from there. So whatever data is available in the word problem, we'll take from there and then we'll see what we can do about it. Okay, so a circular field has circumference. Circumference means boundary of the circular field is given. Some circular field is there, that boundary is how much? 360 kilometers. No problem, sir. 3 cyclists starting from the same point. Okay, now their capacity of cycling is given per day. Every person will have different capacity, right? Some people can cycle for more time, for longer time, faster. So the 3 cyclists, let's take their name to be A, B and C. So there are 3 cyclists A, B, C. Cyclist A can go 48 kilometers per day. Cyclist B can go 60 kilometers per day. 60 kilometers per day. What about cyclist C? Greatest, fittest guy. Kilometers per day. Okay, great. Okay, so C is the fittest person who can go across 72 kilometers per day cycling. Okay, now can they complete one day, in one day, the whole circumference? They cannot, because this circumference is 360 kilometers. So they'll take number of days to complete it, right? Now how many number of days? That's the point. Let's try. Okay, so how many number of days we'll find? Before that, let's read the question. So this part, till this part we have covered. Till this part we have covered, we have read the question. Now when will they meet again? It means they started from the same point. Now when will they meet again? For the first time. So after starting for the first time, when will they come again at the same place? Okay, great. So we'll try to find what? So when will they meet again? What are they asking? Are they asking distance? No, but all this information is given in kilometers, so I cannot do anything with these numbers. So I need timeline, na? So timeline would be number of days, number of hours. Hour is not mentioned here, but day is mentioned. So they are basically asking in how many days they will meet again. So in how many days they do what? They meet again, right? They meet again. So if that was written with, then the question would have been simpler, right? So when will they meet again means in how many days they will meet again. Let's do that. So how many days A will take to complete? So how many days cyclist A will take to complete the full revolution, the full circular field? So it will be 360 upon 48. 12 4 are 48. 12 30s are 360. Answer is 15 by 2 days. Okay. Okay, sir. For cyclist B, I can go as 60 upon, my bad, 360 upon 60. Simple, 6 days. What about cyclist C? 360 upon 72. 36 times 10 is 360. Times 2 is this. Answer is 5 days. So now what we have done is we have got the given data and we have transformed the given data into the required format, which is timeline format, number of days, because they are asking us to find what? Number of days when they will meet. So now our answer is looking okay, more clearer. Approach is there. Okay, I can reach there. So what is going to be now? What is going to be now? I have to check that. So now what we have done actually is from the data they gave for kilometers. So we have come to the point where we can see the answer clearly. What is the answer? In how many days they will meet again? So we have converted all these values into number of days. Am I right? Great. So for that, now, so think about it. When will they meet again? So the number they will meet, let's say they will meet again in X number of days. What is it? After X days, they will meet again. Let's say that they will complete they will meet together in X days. Now think. Can this X be a number less than 6 days? Or less than 5 days? Or less than 7.5 days? No, right? Because if I take a number less than 5 days, 5 will only not complete in, because C is completing in 5 days. So the number cannot be less than 5 or equal to 5. Okay? 15 by 2. If I take, let's say, the biggest of all, which is 15 by 2, 7.5 days. Let's take, I say, the number X is equal to 7.5 days. Okay, fine. They will be here. A will be here after one rotation. But C will already be passed to the first point. So if I take this checkpoint, this is starting point. This is, let's say, ending. So starting and ending will remain same, na? Sorry. So starting and the ending will remain same. So the cyclist A, let's say he has reached back here after rotation. After how many days? 7.5 days. But by then B and C, B will be somewhere here and C will be somewhere here, because they are taking less days, right? So basically the number that we are taking has to be bigger than all the 3 numbers. This X has to be greater than all the 3 numbers, and that can happen only if we are doing what? LCM. So this is how we break our question to what to do. So find the LCM of 15 by 2, 6 and 5. LCM of 15 by 2, 6 and 5. Now one challenge comes to us. So there is a fraction present here. How will you do the LCM of that? There is a formula for this. Please write it down. So LCM of a fraction, okay, is always equal to LCM of numerator upon HCF of denominator. Always LCM of a fraction is equal to LCM of numerator upon HCF of denominator. What about HCF, sir? HCF of a fraction. This will be equal to LCM of, I wrote it incorrect, HCF of numerator upon LCM of denominator. So whichever we are finding, for that we have to find the numerators, same operation, HCF only. Okay, so we are finding LCM here. What is the denominators here, guys? It's 1 and 1. What is the LCM gonna be? So LCM of 15, 6 and 5 upon HCF of 2, 1 and 1. What is LCM of 15, 6 and 5? In the table of 15, 6 and 5. 15 times 2 is 30. 6 times 5 is 30. 5 times 6 is 30. So 30 is the common multiple. Is it first? Of course. 15 will not come in the table of 6. So 30 is the first common multiple of 15, 6 and 5. So LCM of this is 30. What about HCF of 2, 1, 1? 1, sir. What is the answer? Answer is 30 days. So after 30 days, they will meet again. So in 30 days, how many times A would have moved? 7.5 times 30. So how many times will have moved? Check. 4 times. So A will complete 4 rotations or 4 revolutions. Okay. And B will complete 5. And C will complete 6. So when they complete 4, 6 and 5 revolutions, they will meet again. Understood? Question is clear? Have a permission to move on? So I hope this question is clear. Now again our problem. Okay, I've taken good questions, guys, today, so we'll have fun. Rectangular hall, dimensions are given. Now we can see there are 2 dimensions given here, meters and centimeter. To do any operation, let's convert into one format. Okay, why put decimal? We'll do centimeters only. So dimension is given as 18 meter, 72 centimeter, 13 meter, 20 centimeter. Okay, what is the job? Job is paving the tiles. So we're gonna use square tiles to fill out the rectangular hall. Okay, we have to do paving. Okay, what are they asking? Least possible number of such tiles. Think, you're in the room, it's a rectangular room, you're supposed to fill it with square tiles. Forget about it. From here, you want the number of tiles to be minimum, means the number of tiles has to be least, smallest number. Then the size of the tiles has to be bigger, right? If you want the room to be filled with least number of tiles, then size of the tiles will be biggest possible. Okay, so from here we can see, so the side length of the tiles has to be maxed out. The square tiles, let's say square tiles has a side of A. For the number of tiles to be minimum, the A has to be maximum. Is this clear? It's clear, right? Okay, let's take the dimensions first. So what is it? 18, 72. I can write centimeter. What's the other part of the dimension? 13, 20 centimeter. This might be a little calculative, so stay with me. Okay, so all right, we have to find what? First we have to find, to make sure we find the number of tiles. How can you find number of tiles? To find the number of tiles, if we have, let's say, area of the room we know, if we know the area of tiles also, if we have area of room or hall divided by area of one tile, then we'll get a number of tile. But to find the area of one tile, we'll need what? To find the side length of the tile. Okay, so let's erase this part and move on to the problem solving. So how will you find the side length? Now we want the side length to be maximum. Can the side length be bigger than this two number? Can the side of the square be bigger than these two sides? This is one, no, let's call this to be length, this to be breadth. Can my value of A be bigger than length and bigger than breadth? Big no. How will the square be bigger than length and breadth? It has to be smaller than these two values. What we do when we have to find a smaller number? Recall HCF. So what we are going to do? Find HCF of the sides of rectangular hall. So if I do HCF of L and B, I have to use what? Prime factorization. Let's do it. 1872. This might be a little bigger. We'll try. So we'll not take prime numbers here. Okay. We can, because we want to get an answer, right? We don't need to use a prime factor form here. We can do the factorization, but with the easiest way, smallest number we can take. So I can see 9 is okay. 9 is working here. So 9 times 2 is 18. And then what will come? 0 will come. And 9 8s are 72. Take once more. I can take 4. I can take 4, right? So 4 5s are and 4 2s are. I can take again 4 1s are and 4 3s are. Can I take more? I cannot take any more, right? Great. So what I can write this 1872 as? 1872 is nothing but 4 into 4 into 9 into 13. Okay. Prime factors, we'll deal with it when we come to that. Okay. Now let's do 1320. 1320. What we can do and 1320? Can we do in the next page? 1320. What can you see? First number we can take. Can we take 10 directly? कर लेते हैं 10 times 132. I can see 6. Okay. So let's say 6. 6 2s are 12 and 6 2s are 12. Right? I can take 2 will become 11. What is my 1320? 10 times 6 times 2 times 11. 10 6 2 1. Let's write here. 10 6 2 11. For which number? 1320. 1320. Now common factor. Okay. Let me change the color of the ink. So 4 is not present here. But only how many 2s are there? If you write like this again, I can write this as 5 into 2 into 2 times 3 times 2 times 11. So I split 10 as 5 into 2, split 6 as 2 into 3. Okay. So I can write this as prime factor form. 2 power 3 times, this is visible, right? 2 power 3 times 3 times 5 times 11. 2 power 3 times 5 times 11. 2 power 3 times 5 times 11. What about the other number? What we can do about this number? We can write this as 2 power 2 is here, 2 power 2 is here. So write this as 2 power 4 times 3 square times 13. Okay, great. Now HCF. What to find? HCF. So common factors with least power. What is the common factor? Only 2 and 3. 5 is there in this 1320 but not there in 1872. 11 is again the same. 13 is also the same. So only common factor is 2 and 3. Least power of 2, check here, it's 3. Least power of 3, check here, it's 1. So 2 power 3 is 8 times 3 is 24. So this part is done. What is 24? 24 is my value of A, 24 centimeters, is square tile side length. Now we'll do the number of tiles. What we did for number of tiles? Number of tiles would be equal to area of hall upon area of one tile. What is area of hall? 1872 times 1320, I guess. Let's check. 1320 and 1872. Okay. Divide by 24 into 24. Square side is 24, area is 24 square. Cancel it. Cancel it. 12, 12. Change the color. 12 times 2. 12 times 1, 1, 0. 12 times 1 is 12. Again 1 is left. Correct. 12 times 2 is here. 12 times 1. Then 6 is left. 67 is left. To 50. 56, I think. Yes. 156. Okay. Cancel once more. 2 times this will be 78. 2 sevens are 14 and 1 16, so 78. And this also will be giving me 2 times this will be 39. What is my final answer? 39 times 110. So why did I not simplify 110? It's 11, no? Easy to multiply. So keep always 11s. Anytime you see 11, keep it with you. 39 times 11 is how much? Multiply it like this. 9, 2, 4. Correct? So what is my answer? 4290 tiles. So we require minimum of 4290 tiles to completely pave the rectangular hall of the given dimensions. Chaliye. Okay, this question. 2 positive integers a and b. We did a question like this, no? In terms of x and y. Similar kind of question is there, but one next step is increase to find this part. Okay, what is given? A and b is 2 numbers. Okay, 2 numbers. They're positive. Okay, but written in the form of variables pq and pq square. But p and q are prime. Okay, p and q are prime numbers. It is not written here, but it is prime. P and q are prime. P and q are prime. Okay, it was written in the previous slide. Might have been missed. Okay, so for that, let's find the HCF and LCM. Let's write A. What is A? PQ. We'll do this question very quickly. Come on. B. PQ square. What is LCM of A comma B? All powers taken once, all numbers taken once with highest power. What are the numbers? P and Q. Highest power of P 1 and Q 2. So what is my LCM? 2. Compare, no? Check. P highest power is 1 1 and Q highest power is, so 1 and 2 is there. So highest is 2. Okay. What about HCF? HCF of A comma B. What about HCF? So HCF will be common factors with least power. Common factors are same thing, P and Q. Least power of P is 1. Least power of Q is 1. What is my HCF? PQ. Let's see other part of the question. They have given HCF as P power X Q power Y. So compare this, write this equal to P power X Q power Y. P power X Q power Y. Compare and tell me what is X value? 1. Y value 1. Because the powers are 1 and 1. HCF is given P power X Q power Y. LCM is also given. What is LCM given? P power M Q power N. P power N Q power N. So if you compare from here, what is my M value, sir? Compare. P is 1. P power 1. So M is 1. What is my N value, sir? N value is 2. Compare. 2. So M is 1. N is 2. X is 1. Y is 1. What are they asking? X plus Y upon P plus, sorry, not P, M plus N. My bad. M plus N. X plus Y is 1 plus 1 and this is 1 plus 2. Answer is 2 by 3. So that what they were asking is equal to what? 2 by 3. I hope this is clear. Same concept, one step ahead we went. Coming to the last part of this chapter, irrational numbers. Very simple but small but important part. Okay, this on this topic you have multiple questions coming in. You must have seen some people might get scared of these questions as well. Proving a number to be irrational, combination of rational and irrational to be irrational. Okay, so we'll work on that. We have taken couple of questions, we'll solve it and we'll complete our session. So let's learn the definition of irrational number first. What is irrational number? So before defining irrational, let's go back and recall rational number. What is rational number? So all those numbers which can be written in the form of P by Q, provided P and Q are co-prime. All the numbers which can be written in the form of P by Q, provided P and Q are co-primes, those are called rational numbers. But here we have irrational numbers. So basically we can just reverse the statement. Cannot be expressed in P by Q form. All those numbers will be irrational. Extremely simple. Okay, what about the decimal form? So we have seen multiple decimal forms, right? We have seen 1.5. okay, we can see we have more than one decimal places as well. 1.526. okay, we have also seen 1.555 and so on. What are these? These are all rational. These are all rational numbers. Then which form of decimal number is irrational? Whenever we have non-terminating form plus no repetition be present. Means if I have a number, let's say, oh yeah, it's written here 1.657, 1.6507, 1.65007. Some people might get confused here saying that, sir, there is a repetition. No, see, pattern is there. 657, 1 0 is increased, another 0 is increased here. But no, we are talking about not just pattern, we are talking about repetition. So the number has to be repeated like this, 5555. Then only we'll call that as rational, otherwise irrational. So what is the decimal form of irrational? Non-terminating, non-repeating decimals are irrational number. Other forms that we have: square root of imperfect squares, cube root of imperfect cube. Let's see. Cube root of 4. Write this as 2. Incorrect. Cube root of 4 is not 2. Square root of 4 is 2. If we take square root of 4, we get the answer as 2. But cube root of 4, we can't find the answer only. There is no way we can get a whole number as answer for cube root of 4. Okay, same way, square root of 8. How will you find square root of 8? 2. Cube root of 8 is 2. If I write cube root of 8, then the answer would be 2. But here it is just square root. Still we can't find any whole number for the answer of square root of 8. So again irrational. So wherever we have roots, second, third, fourth, fifth, whatever it is, if we can't take the whole number out of it, then it will be irrational. Okay, coming to the last statement, it's actually very important. Let's see how many of you are able to understand this. Let me just erase this part. Okay, all right, done. P is a prime number for any number prime, any prime number that we have. If it divides a number which is a square, which is the perfect square, then it will also divide a square root. Again I'll repeat, for any P prime number, if it divides a perfect square, for example, let's take 36. If a number divides its prime number, then let's take this, 3 divides 36, then 3 will also divide square root of this, 6. right? So whatever number we are taking, if it divides its perfect square, it also divides its square root. So if p divides a, p divides, if p divides a square, p divides a as well. Okay, all right. Why this statement? We're going to use it in our next question. Let's see. Okay, proving root 2 is irrational. Very common question. It has come to us all the time. Okay. Now, whenever we have this kind of question to prove, what is the first step to do is, we'll take the assumption. We'll take the assumption. And what should the assumption be? The assumption would be that root 2 is actually rational. Root 2 is actually rational. And at the end, we'll prove that it is given a contradiction. So we have taken initially that root 2 is rational, and at the end we'll prove that it is actually a contradiction. Then we'll say what? Then we can say our assumption was wrong. So this way we'll complete this question. So proving that root 2 is rational. So if we take root 2 as rational, then as from the definition of rational number, it can be expressed as p by q, where p and q are co-prime. What's the meaning of co-prime? Only one factor exists, which is 1. Only one factor exists, which is 1. All right. So I can write this number root 2 as p by q. Now to simplify from here onwards, we'll take q on the other side. We can write this as p equals to root 2q. Nothing, just taken cross multiplication. From here, do what? Do squaring on both side of equal to sign. If I do that, what I get? I get p square equals to 2q square. Now check it out. If I have something written as, let's say 34 is equal to 2 times 17. 34 is equal to 2 times 17. What it means? It means that 2 is a factor of 34. 2 is a factor of 34. Correct? Same way, if I have written p square equal to 2 times of q square, it means 2 is a factor of p square. We learned right now, if p is a prime number and p divides a square, then p divide a as well. So if 2 is a prime number dividing a factor of p square, it means it will also be 2 divides p as well. It will also be a factor of p. Okay. Now if I can say a number is a factor of p, for example, if I say 3 is factor of 81, I can say that 3 is a factor of 81. Then I can write 81 as 3 times 27. So for any number which is a factor of a given number, I can write in this format. So if 2 is a factor of p, then I can write p as 2k. For some value k, if I multiply 2 with it, I'll get the number p. Correct? Now let's take this to be our equation. Okay, let's take this to be our equation. Now we'll square this equation. Okay, squaring both sides. We are doing here again. If we do that, what we're gonna get? Check here. P square equals to 4k square. P square equal to 4k square. And over here, if I take this to be equation 1 and this to be equation 2, what can I say from equation 1 and 2? That p square equals to 2q square, and over here p square equals to 4k square. It means 2q square and 4k square are equal to each other. Correct? If p square is equal to 2q square and p square equals to 4k square, it means those two terms on the RHS side are also equal. So I can write 2q square is equal to 4k square. I can cancel 2. So this will become q square equals to 2k square. Similarly, from what we wrote here, p square equal to 2q square, we wrote what? 2 is a factor of p square. I can write 2 is a factor of q square. 2 is a factor of q square, which implies what? That 2 divides q. Now we learned 2 divides p and 2 divides q, which means what? 2 is, therefore 2 is common factor of p and q. How, sir? Let's go back and see. 2 divides p, right? And over here 2 divides q, means I have a number which divides both p and q. It means 2 is a common factor of p and q. But if you see here in the definition side, what I wrote? Co-prime. If they are co-prime, then how can they have another factor? It means whatever we are doing is somewhere something is wrong. So if you see, we got this result once we assumed this to be rational. P and Q cannot have any other factor, and we are getting a factor because we have taken it to be rational. It means there is a contradiction. So instead of root 2 being rational, it becomes irrational. So our assumption of root 2 to be rational was actually incorrect, and it is irrational. I hope it's clear. If you want, I can summarize it again. So what we did here, we took root 2 as irrational. We proved from the definition, using the definition of rational number, we proved that we are getting another factor of p and q, which cannot be true. So from that contradiction, we are again back to saying that it is not actually rational but irrational. Okay, let's go to the next question. What is the next question? Come on, last couple of questions. Be with me. Keep your notes with you, paper and pen with you. Okay, this question you can solve. Okay, come on. 5 plus 2 root 3 to be irrational. How will we do it, sir? I just said right now in the previous question, whenever you have a question like this, what are you gonna do? Take it to be rational. Assume it to be rational. We can assume it to be rational. What is rational, sir? This number 5 plus 2 root 3 is rational. From the definition of rational, what we can write? P by Q is equal to 5 plus 2 root 3. P and Q are co-primes, and P and Q are also individually rational numbers. Take P on this side. Pardon? Take 5 on this side. Check this out. Now 2 on this side. So I can write this as 1 by 2 P by Q minus 5 equals to root 3. Now check this. P by Q is a rational number. 5 is a rational number. 1 by 2 also is a rational number. So any mathematical operation done on rational number will give me rational only. So we are, what are you doing? Subtraction and multiplication will give me subtraction of two rational, multiplication of a rational with another rational. So LHS is rational, but RHS, root 3 is irrational. In that situation, it is again a contradiction. LHS and RHS cannot have two different forms. It means our assumption of rational is incorrect. So 5 plus 2 root 3 is irrational. I hope it's clear. Okay, let's move on. Next question. A similar question, right? How will you do it? So I've taken all the varieties which is there in irrational numbers. How will you prove this question? Root 3 plus root 5. First step remains same. Everybody will know by now. To take it to be rational. So we're gonna assume root 3 plus root 5 is a rational number. It's our assumption. Okay. Now from here, I can say root 3 and root 5 to be equal to P by Q. How? Again same thing, definition of rational numbers. Do one thing, instead of taking on the other side, square on both sides. We can do by taking on the other side also, but again we have to do squaring. So why not write now? Okay. So do it squaring both sides. Squaring both sides. If I do that, what I get? Root 3 plus root 5 the whole square upon P square by Q square is there. Now if we expand this, what we get? 3 plus 5. Root 3 square is 3. Root 5 square is 5. And 2AB will be 2 times of root 3 into root 5 equal to P square by Q square. What this becomes? 8. Take this 8 on the other side. It will become 2 root 15 equals to P square upon Q square minus 8. Okay. I can take this rational number 2 again on that side and write this as root 15 equals to 1 by 2 P square upon Q square minus 8. Now compare. This side is what? LHS is what? Irrational. Root 15 is irrational. What about RHS? 1 by 2 rational. P square by Q square rational. 8 is rational. Subtraction of rational will give me a rational number. Multiplication with another rational number will give me a rational number. So RHS is again rational. Again the same contradiction. LHS is irrational. RHS is rational. Can't happen. It means assumption was wrong. Root 3 plus root 5 as irrational. So this concludes our first chapter, okay, which is real numbers. This concludes our first chapter, which is real numbers. I have some homework questions for you, okay. I'm gonna give you, take a screenshot, or you can do what I told you, visit the link given here, visit that link to get your class notes. From there you'll also get homework question. Do the homework question, and in the next video you'll be getting the solutions of those homework questions, okay. So practice all the questions which I have solved also, and the homework questions. You will be giving solutions as well once you download the PDF, and you will get the solution of the homework question in the next class, as I already said, okay. Now as we go here, these are your homework questions. Let me explain it to you, make you understand the questions. First one, exact same problem we have done in terms of x and y. In the notes, take it from there and solve it. Second one, this is a good question. This you try. I'll give you a solution, but this you try. Least number that is divisible by all numbers from 1 to 10. Okay, think about it. So you have to take 1 and 10 together, like both of them are inclusive of the numbers. What is 1 to 10? So 1, 2 till 10. So all the numbers has to be taken. You have to find a number x such that it is divisible by 1 to all the numbers till 10. Okay, and this we just proved right now. So all the 3 questions are doable. I want all of you to do it without even any solution, but anyway you'll get the solutions, okay. Now if we come back to this, so what happens, children, is like right now your 10ths are coming. Now you might be confused what to do after 10th grade, how to start up, what to think. Science is better, commerce is better, bio is better, maths is better, what is good for me? How would I know my potential? Because you all are children, right? You will not know everything from day one. So what you have to do is, don't worry, we have come up with DSAT. It's Diksha Scholastic Aptitude Test. What you have to do is visit our nearest center, Okay, go there, take this test. In this test you'll have a lecture given by a faculty for 60 minutes. Based upon the lecture you'll be given a aptitude test, then it will be graded. Upon your score you can discuss with our mentor there, you can have the counseling done one by one with your parents. Okay, and one more thing, apart from all of these, like you can write the DSAT, do the counseling. If you are good, if you're looking to get enrolled with us for 11th grade in the coming year for any physics stream, PCM stream or PCB stream, based upon your DSAT score, you'll get scholarship up to 90%. Okay, so what are you waiting for? Get enrolled with us, contact our nearest center. Alright, great. I'll see you in our next video. Complete the homework questions, which is going to be on polynomials on day 2 of our Score Booster midterm class 10th. Alright, thank you. Have a nice day. Keep smiling, keep working hard.